kids don't have the let me sit back and contemplate this mindset. They have the oh my god, I need this right now mindset. And especially tying into impulse control, which is notably on the decline. Do you see how everything kind of mashes together? Their impulse control is going to be even worse, so they're going to want it even more right now. Hence why you see them so angry at Sephora over some drunk elephants, because they need it right now. What do you mean you're saying no? I feel like a lot of people don't realize that when you post making fun about a lot of things, sure, a lot of people your age may see that, but a lot of kids see that too. So they're seeing the stuff that they should, like, be ridiculed, and then they're like, oh my god, no, this isn't cool, and so they don't want to partake in it. And then people start screaming, why aren't the kids doing this? It's because they saw you making fun of them. I actually wrote a script for today's video. Are you proud of me? I feel so prepared. Doing a video essay because this is right up my alley. We are going to be talking about the 10-year-old little girls in Sephora, which is generous because I've seen some ages as low as 7. We are also going to be getting ready at the same time because I need to do something with my hands. So this is the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer. I've been really into Mika's rhetoric recently. Well, not recently. I've been following her for a few months, but I love her videos. However, I did not go to school to be book smart. I went to school to be camera smart. So we're gonna call this Irina's intellectual ineptitude, and we're gonna be the bootleg version of her. Obviously, I will link her channel below. I think you should check her out. She makes really, really good videos. James Welsh also did a video about these Sephora girls. However, he did more on the drunk elephant side because his channel is more about skincare. So if you would like to learn more about the drunk elephant side, because he was teaching me things that I didn't know, I will also have that and his channel linked below. I'm going to be referencing some studies, some websites, TikToks, etc., which is a wild jump from studies and websites. Those will also be linked down below. So if you're not on social media, especially if you're not in the beauty space, you wouldn't have seen these wild TikToks about these little kids being absolute menaces in Sephora. This is the Maybelline foundation and the LA Girl Pro Color White. So young girls in and of itself is not a problem, you know, going into Sephora. I hate kids, but I'm not gonna see one and turn into the Grinch and set up elaborate traps to ruin their shopping experiences, right? They're being menaces. They're being absolute menaces, and it's horrifying to see. Now, I feel like one of the first videos I saw about this was someone around my age being absolutely relieved that people were talking about these Sephora 10-year-olds. I'm just gonna say 10-year-olds is a generalization, alright? She then goes on to explain how a child tried to barter with her.
I just saw a girl on my For You page talking about how Sephora has become the new Claire's. There's a bunch of 10-year-olds running around fiending for Drunk Elephant and like looking for rare beauty as if Selena Gomez is in the building. And let me tell you, I have a story for you. These 10-year-olds are crazy. Like literally the most feral. I was a camp counselor. The Sephora kids are different than any type of kids. First of all, whatever did happen to Claire's? Because I catch myself going into Claire's sometimes when I want a pair of cheap earrings or like a random event that I'm never gonna wear again. What happened to 10-year-olds getting those makeup kits that are like pre-made and like everything is there and it looks like a phone and like you open it and what happened? Like I would still use those if they were good products that cover up my fucking acne that a 10-year-old does not have. That was a little much. But this topic genuinely angers me. Slick back is not looking too slick today, but she'll do. This takes place around late last week, and right around after Christmas was over, there was a few things that Santa just didn't bring me in my stockings or in my presents, so I took it to myself to go to Sephora and pick up those things that I wanted. I look extremely pale in the winter. If you met me in the summer and then you didn't see me for a couple months and saw me in the winter, you really wouldn't think I was the same person because of how crazily pale I get. This even goes to the point where my friends FaceTimed me like 2 weeks ago and asked if I was okay because I looked sickly pale. Now that's what really did it for me. So I took my ass to Sephora and I was like, I'm gonna get the Drunk Elephant drops because I should start incorporating that into my makeup routine if I look this deathly pale, where my friends are calling me up and saying, you need to go to the hospital. You're looking like Damien Salvatore bit you. So I haul ass to Sephora. I take myself to the Drunk Elephant section. I knew there was a very false hope that I would get these drops because they've been the rave. They've been everywhere and I don't have them for a reason because every time I try to go to Sephora, they're sold out. To my surprise, I'm walking and I see a little box behind the display. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm walking straight, but Sephora's kind of a maze, if you will. So go this way, you could go this way, you could go straight, or you could come out the back like a little surprise attack, right? So at this point, I'm approaching it, and all of a sudden, a 10-year-old comes out of nowhere, looks at the drunk elephant drops. She has 2 other drunk elephant products in her hand. Yes, they came out with like a shimmer one, and then they came out with like a, I don't even know what it was. She goes, at the same time I'm reaching, literally, it could be like a slow-mo movie. We were both grabbing, and I was like, no. And she was like, no. It was like, you know what I'm saying? But her fast little short hands grabbed it before me. So I was sitting there, and I was like, I really want this. We're both looking at each other at this point because it was a very awkward encounter. This girl literally could not be older than the age 10. Looks at me and goes, "We'll beat you to it." Whoa. So you know what, like I said, I was a camp counselor. I dealt with children before. I know that they could be a little crazy, but I didn't know that they would be this crazy to a random stranger they met in Sephora over drunk elephant drops. So I was like, let me just try being nice to her. She probably saw them on TikTok. All of her friends probably have them. Let me try to talk to her. So I say to her, is there any way like I could have these? You would give me them. Like I see you have a couple other products in your hand. Like I've really just been looking for these. She just looks at me, doesn't say anything. So I'm like, seriously, if you don't need them that bad, I would really appreciate it. I realize I'm begging to a 10-year-old. I might as well just get on my hands and knees and start, like, kid you not, this 10-year-old looks me up and down, like the nastiest up and down look I've ever gotten in my life. And she goes, give me your Gucci heart ring and I will. This ring that I wear was what? The balls on children, just, is every 10-year-old negotiating in the middle of a Sephora? Like, safe to say after that, I did laugh in her face. She did not like that. Literally, I chuckled and terrified of this girl. She goes, at least I don't have to play connect the dots on my face. She ate me up. She ate me the fuck up. I was having a terrible breakout this day. I'll be the first one to admit it. We are having this conversation in the aisle of the drunk elephant section in the middle of a Sephora of my hometown. I don't know who this girl is. Either way, I thought I was on like What Would You Do? And John Quinones was gonna walk out with that camera. Like, at this point, there was so many comebacks in my brain, but I was like, I'm not going to beef with the 10-year-old. That's not on my agenda today. I didn't wake up and say, let's have a brawl in the middle of a Sephora with this 10-year-old. Thinking back to it, totally should have at least said one thing, because she won. She did eat me up, and she did walk out buying those drunk elephant drops with her mom's credit card. Me? I left without my dignity and my spirits were crushed. So with all that said, the new generation of Sephora kids are wild. Okay, this difference is crazy. Genuinely, I'm not sure why the new trend for 10-year-olds is skincare and $80 makeup, because I know if that was the trend when I was growing up, my mom would have literally laughed in my face. Like, I was having a lovely time with my rainbow loom and silly bands. Those little bracelets that cost probably 50 cents to make, and everyone traded them. But that's the story how I lost my dignity in the middle of a Sephora by a 10-year-old.
Now, you, like me, may have thought, wow, that's crazy. I really hope kids aren't actually acting like that.
Okay, I'm sure you guys have all heard, like, the stories about these, like, 10 to 12-year-old girls that shop at Sephora and that are, like, ridiculously out of pocket. To just jump in and give my opinion on this, because these girls, who is giving these girls the attitude that they have? It's, like, actually ridiculous. So the first thing we have to talk about is, where are these girls getting this money? Because, like, it's so expensive. So let me tell you guys a little encounter I had with one of these girls. So I walked into the local Sephora and I was just shopping around with my basket, like looking at all the displays and like what they had. I walked up next to the drunk elephant display. I was looking at the one next to it. So standing there like looking at all the products, a group of 3 like young girls comes up to the drunk elephant ones and I'm like, girl, like, do you even know what skincare is? You're like, what, 9? Like, come on. When I was 9, I don't even know what I was doing, coloring in a coloring book. Like, girl. And I'm like listening to their conversation. They're like, my mom gave me this much money and like blah, blah, blah. And I want to get the bronzy drops, but they don't have them. And like, who are you trying to look bronzy for? The other 4th graders in your class? Like, girl. So anyway, this same day I go over to a different display and I'm looking, I think it was Rare Beauty. Yeah, that's right. Rare Beauty. I'm looking and I'm like kind of like squatting down to like look in the display. And the same girls come up. Okay. And I'm like, I waited my turn kind of. So I'm like closest to the display and they come up next to me and they're like, the one girl that was like, can you move? What? And me being me, I just got up and walked away. But still, like, I regretted after not saying something because like that is so like rude. But I don't know, there needs to be like a genetic study on these girls because I can't be dealing with this every time I want to buy my Sol de Janeiro at Sephora, girl. Like, come on.
Now, you could say the argument, you know, how do we know that they're telling the truth? TikTok clout goes crazy these days. They could be lying. But I feel like when so many people have a similar yet different enough story, you kind of have to investigate a little bit because they might actually be telling the truth. Also, there's so many of them, of both customers and employees alike, all being relieved that it's being talked about, as if it's some sort of giant therapy session that we're going over this right now. Especially because these employees are possibly risking their employment. You know, they're posting about where they work, they're posting about customers and ranting about customers. Like, they could legitimately get fired for that. Like, they're risking a lot. Also, who would just want to fight like a 9-year-old out of the blue? Like, I feel like out of all the things to lie about on social media, this is one of the more wild things that you could lie about. Now, I was going to try and split everything up into parts, but I feel like everything ties together. You know, human beings are very complex. It's not just some one answer thing, and children especially, you know, we don't know what's going on in their minds. So I'm just gonna try and throw stuff at the wall in a relatively organized fashion and hope it makes sense. Like the bad behavior from questionable or even absent parenting, spending way too much time on unregulated social media. I'm going to be mixing a white foundation in, well, more of the white foundation in with my foundation because I don't feel like mixing it with my concealer when there's already foundation on my hand. The unregulated time on social media translating to poor focus and, what did I write in my script? Educational skills. Budgets being taken away for extracurriculars. That was a thing when I was in school, like middle school. So I know that's definitely happening today. And also there's like no public activities like at all. Like, I've seen the occasional book club that gets started on, like, TikTok or Facebook, but, like, that's it. There's just, like, no fun public things to do. It's just shopping and restaurants, which cost so much money that nobody has. And then that, in turn, basically turns social media into a third place, which is basically somewhere you go that's not home or work or school, and that is your social life. That is the place where you feel like you have to fit in. And it is having, as you can see, very dire consequences. Now, if you want to just watch TikToks on people telling stories about these Sephora girls, I will put a timestamp somewhat at the end. I'm going to be mixing them into the video, but I'll put a timestamp at the end where we'll watch some together. But I don't want to just fill this with TikToks and get on with it. I want to try and get into the why Sephora girls, not what Sephora girls are. So yeah, if that's only what interests you, then skip to that chapter. Now, I feel like the immediate reaction, I really hope my foundation didn't dry, is to demonize these kids. And while these children are little Satan spawns that were born yesterday, I feel like that's not the solution. I feel like it's pretty healthy to ask why. Just in general, it's nice to be a skeptic. It means that you know, typically have a pretty solid grasp once you have your answer, rather than just taking things at face value and going, all right, that makes sense. I feel like it's especially good to ask why because you're not seeing the typical complaints. Do you know what I mean? Like, as somebody who grew up with a very conservative Christian mother, you typically see the complaints like, oh, it's the demonic music turning the kids gay, it's the demonic music making them mean, even though we're hurling insults at them and they're not taking our shit, you know? But it's more so, my child is so unable to focus that he's screaming whenever he doesn't have a screen in his face. It's, this child was so rude to me that they literally assaulted me in the middle of the store and then had a what about it attitude. Like, it's not these typical kids aren't taking your bullshit, yada yada yada, respect your elders. It's more so like a lack of social etiquette in general, like even to their own peers. It's also just a straight up lack in education. I've seen TikToks, and we'll go through this later, about how the kids can't read, the kids can't do math, etc., etc. It's kind of scary. And like, I can't do math. I'm not one to talk. So when I say it's scary, it's horrifying, actually, to the regular working mind. And you know, as with all adults, Gen Alpha didn't just spawn here. It has to do with their early development. And a lot of this is coming from what people are coining the iPad baby epidemic. I feel like a lot of people have heard about that, but just in case you haven't, I'm going to dive into it a little bit. Now, I found an article that references a study, and normally I would just look into the study, but this is a silly little commentary video, and I wanted to get this out relatively quickly. So this is the part that I agree with, just in case there's some like wild shit somewhere in the article. I may not agree with the entire article. I don't know. JAMA, JAMA Pediatrics, a peer-reviewed international medical journalist study, had published a study on August 21st of this year comprised of 7,097 mother-child pairs, with the key question being how screen time ranging from 1 to 4 hours beginning at age 1 affects development from ages 2 to 4. Yeah, that makes sense. Various developmental skills, such as communication, gross and fine motor skills, problem solving, and personal and social skills were self-reported by mothers and analyzed as the children grew. The study found that children who had less than 4 hours of screen time were almost 5 times more likely to have stunted communication skills, 2 times more likely to have stunted personal and social skills, and nearly 2 times more likely to have stunted fine motor skills. That is crazy, because I guarantee Generation Alpha has a lot more than 4 hours of screen time a day. The second they want attention, start crying, what have you, just an iPad is shoved in their face. Now, I can understand iPads in grocery stores with headphones. Blasting them to the point where I'm losing my hearing is another gripe I have. But these programs, this social media, these games are just being shoved in their face when the entire point of the game, program, what have you, is that it's meant to be addicting. It's meant for viewer retention. It's gonna mess up these kids. That was the Anastasia contour stick, and this is the e.l.f. monochromatic multi-stick. I use it as a blush. YouTube Kids is full of these ridiculously fast-moving skits with bright-ass colors, which is good. You know, babies need color, but it's, you know, attractive to them. They want it constantly. It's an issue. TikTok has an algorithm that is designed to keep you on the app no matter how many stop scrolling you've been on the app too long messages you get. You look in those comments, filled with people going, no. Let's say your kid doesn't go on social media. They're not allowed. They play games. Do you know what the games are? Have you looked at them? Like, actually looked at them, not just like glanced at them? Do those games have in-app purchases? So the game tempts your impressionable kids into certain patterns and behaviors so that the game can make profit? Do they have full access to the App Store so that they could just download whatever they want? There was a kid, now I love Genshin, right? I feel like that is no secret. I never shut up about Genshin and Honkai. I have spent money on there. There was a TikTok, I'd have to find it again, I'm not sure if I can, of this girl's little sister racking up, I think it was like either $1,000 or way over $1,000 worth of Primo Gems just on their parents' card. This is the Wet n Wild photo focus powder and just a puff that I have. But the Huffington Post wrote an article talking about how toddlers are needing therapy for their iPad addictions. Now, granted, if they didn't have the iPad addictions, would the toddlers grow up and need therapy? Probably. I can't list a single one of my peers who doesn't need therapy. But I feel like toddlers' age is a bit too young to be needing therapy. I mean, get the therapy if you need it, but I feel like if your toddler needs therapy, I would start questioning your parenting. I didn't contour my forehead. I'm so glad that I noticed that before I powdered my forehead. Oh my god, I would have been so pissed. So this is where I'm going to read my script, okay? Because this is a quote. Dr. Richard Graham, who launched his 16,000-pound 28-day digital detox program 3 years ago, said that there was probably many similarly, if you've been to my streams, you know I can't read, aged children with technology addiction. When devices are taken away, the children show the same withdrawal symptoms exhibited by alcoholics or heroin addicts. What? Now this over-attachment and focus problem directly correlates to their schooling, which I'm sure you also have seen TikToks on. Now thankfully, I have left school an undisclosed amount of years ago. because I don't want to sound old. So I don't know firsthand what's going on at the moment. From what I could see, it's hell. But when isn't it, you know? But it's a special type of hell. However, I have slowly seen this transition of physical spaces being kids' third spaces, like clubs, just like community activities, even the library. I know I had a library card when I was still, I think, in high school. And then, you know, you post about it occasionally to either public accounts that don't get any views or private accounts, and you post like little random silly things, to those spaces being switched online, and that online community then directly affecting their physical life, if that makes sense. I didn't follow my script directly, and I already forgot what I said, so who knows. This is where stuff might get confusing because it all just kind of mashes together.
Kind of exciting in a weird way to see all these Sephora videos come out about how these like tween age girls are going into Sephora and just having like the worst behaviors and attitudes towards like other people and associates and even each other. I bring this up because being an educator, we're often told that we're the reason why a child acts the way that they do because parents typically don't want to self-reflect. But now we're seeing that it's bleeding out into the public. And it's just interesting that now these Sephora stories are coming out at the same time that teachers are leaving the profession in droves. I say exciting, but it's more like validation because it's like, oh my gosh, someone else finally sees it, because we're often gaslit as educators by admin, by parents, by whoever, that it's our fault that students are acting a certain way in our classroom because it's either our poor classroom management skills or something else that's bringing this about. And I worry because these tweens are bringing these behaviors that have been typically tolerated by the adults in their lives, parents that enable it, and teachers whose hands are tied behind their back, to adult spaces. And they're going to realize very quickly that other adults aren't going to put up with it.
Education as a whole, although absolutely hellish, I do not miss school, is vital for your kids. I will be the first one to say that, yay, education, awesome. School itself, the social things that come with it, ugh, yeah. The effects of an uneducated society are awful, to say the least. Especially because I think we can all confidently agree that we hate a stupid bit. It's no secret that the public education system in America is an absolute dumpster fire, because why wouldn't funding bombs be more important than educating our children? This is the Misha Cotton Contour and Smoked Hazel, by the way, and I'm just using a flat brush. That looks a lot better on camera than it does in person. There's also an overwhelming amount of older people in power, not just obviously the country's government, and when I reference countries, I'm talking about America because that is where I'm from. Yeehaw, what the fuck? A kilometer. But it's also a problem in local government as well. Now, what does that mean? That means Gertrude and Gerald never left their little hometown bubble, and now the only source of power that they can desperately cling to is the form of local government. Now, is that a little harsh? Maybe. But it's directly affecting people. Now, because Gertrude and Gerald want to stay at the top of the food chain in Wild Wheat Falls, Missouri, or wherever the hell they are, kids are only being taught sight words. There's no phonetics. Like, the first thing I ask when I have a complicated word that I need to spell, is that phonetic? Or is there a wild-ass spelling? What do you mean kids aren't being taught phonetics? How can they read the word They can't. Can they even read the labels on these drunk elephant boxes? Probably not, unless they've memorized them. Now, what is not the local government's fault is school funding. If the school has a certain amount of kids failing, they get their budgets cut. That's been a problem since I was in school. And the funding has already been cut over and over and over and over and over again. Do you see the issue? So schools can't focus on the education because they don't want to get basically shut down. So they just keep passing these kids. Kids that should have stayed back grades ago are just getting passed.
No, y'all, can we talk about it? Can we please talk about it? Let's take a moment to discuss. Let's take a moment to debrief. Let's take a moment to unpack. So I'm not really understanding why they're not telling y'all. Like, we all know that the world is behind, like, you know, globally, like, you know, because of the pandemic and stuff. But I don't understand why they're not stressing to y'all how bad it is. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are... I'm going to just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level. I don't care how you flip it, turn it, swing it, swindle it. They still performing on the 4th grade level. Ain't nobody talking about how they just keep moving, passing them on. They just keep passing them on, 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 passing them on. I can put as many zeros in this grade book as I want to. They're going to move that child to the 8th grade next year. But ain't nobody talking about that. Why they not talking about that? Why they not telling y'all that y'all... And why don't y'all know that y'all kids not performing on their grade level. Why y'all don't know this? Why y'all don't know? Talk about it. Let's unpack. Because y'all be quick to talk about, oh, the teacher this, the teacher this, the teacher. It's your job, baby. I just got here 30 days ago. She was performing on the 4th grade level since 4th grade. Why we not talk? Well, let's talk about it. You the teacher. You supposed to be, again, she's been on the 4th grade level since the 4th grade. We in 7th grade now. So you let this child go 3 years and you never knew that your child was still in the 4th grade? Ain't never left the... Hang it up, flat screen. And 4th graders being nice. I still have kids performing on grade K, 1, 2, and 3rd grade levels. I could probably count on one hand how many kids are actually performing on their grade level. So just imagine, you don't know that your child been on the 2nd grade level since the 2nd grade and they now in the 7th or 8th grade? Are you joking right now? And these are future leaders, our future doctors, our future nurses, our future... Please. Please.
You know those super seniors? Has anyone my age had super seniors in their school? I would be hard pressed to believe that they're still around because of the epidemic of these schools just passing kids. But let me know if there's super seniors at your school. It's also no secret that there is a massive, massive media literacy crisis, and I am horrified to see how that will develop. Now, I am mostly horrified to see how that will develop for, you know, their own safety, but also for my own peace of mind, because this bullshit being spread is giving me a headache. This childhood innocent gullibility is now being given a platform, not to mention the lack of common knowledge because of, you know, we've seen how they are in school. Just not a lot of common knowledge there. Which is not their fault. It's not being reinforced and it's not being taught to them. It's all a major part of these Sephora girls. I just want to focus on the social climate of schools. The need to stay on trend was something that I desperately had when I was in school. I never ever was on trend until I had my own money. And even then, I can't imagine now where everybody has a high quality camera and is absolutely obsessed with their image, not just in their town, but publicly, because who knows when you're gonna go viral. My brow gel is running out. I need a new one. Now, this TikTok isn't about Sephora, but it kind of puts into perspective how kids are with trends in case, you know, it's been a while since you were in school and you don't really quite remember.
I don't post a lot of controversial content on my page. I usually like to keep things pretty fun, pretty lighthearted. I do a lot of voiceover content. With that being said, I'm gonna keep this pretty short and sweet. This is the cup that we got our daughter for Christmas. This is not a Stanley. This is a $9.98 Walmart cup that she said she thought was cute. She is 9 years old. On the second day back to school after Christmas break, she comes home. She's not crying, she's just upset. The girls, all the other girls in her grade, I'm not saying all, maybe she said 9, 10 of them, all got Stanleys for Christmas. And they made sure to let her know that this is not a real Stanley, that this is fake and it's not as cool. So she comes home, she's upset. She asks if she can have a real Stanley. Do I think that a 9-year-old needs a Stanley? No. Do I have one? Yes, I have one. I don't have 50 Stanleys in all different colors. I'm not going to Target and fighting other women or moms to try and get the new Valentine's Day Stanley. I have one. So that being said, before you come at me, if you're a mom, if you're a parent, and you can do something to keep your child from getting made fun of, to help fit in, you're gonna do it. So we went and bought her a 30-ounce Stanley. In our area, at our local Ace Hardware, these are $35. Can we afford to buy her a Stanley? Yes. Did I think that she needed one? No. Apparently I've been proven wrong by the children in our school that are making fun of her for not having a real name brand Stanley. But this doesn't start with the kids. This starts with us. This starts with parents, with moms. What are we teaching our kids? You better believe that if our 9-year-old daughter came home and somehow we found out that she made fun of another girl at school for not having something name brand, whether it's a Stanley, Lululemon, Uggs, I don't care what it is, we would be calling the family. We would be making her write a note to apologize. We would make her apologize in person, because that's not what we do in this household. And that's what we need to be teaching our kids. It does not matter. It's great. If you want to have name brand things and you can afford name brand nice things, that's great. We are fortunate enough that we can afford name brand things. But once again, we're trying to teach our kids that they don't necessarily need that. Things are earned. You have to work for things in your life. Not everything is just going to be handed to you. But do I also not want to see my daughter being left out or made fun of because she doesn't have the name brand things? That's how I grew up. No disrespect to my parents, but we didn't have those things. I was made fun of. I remember the first time that my mom found me a limited to bathing suit at Goodwill, and I felt so good to have that name brand clothing. I know now as an adult that that shouldn't have meant something, but it did, because it made me feel like I fit in. Even though we are trying to teach our kids to be unique and to be themselves, and I'm all for that. I am not going to, if my daughter asks for something to help fit in with the kids at school and she feels cool and it's something that she really wants and I can do that for her, I'm going to. But we have got to teach our kids to not make other kids feel inferior for not having the things that they have. That's it. That's where it starts, and it starts with us as parents. End rant.
Okay, so I did my eyebrows and one eye off camera, if you couldn't tell, just because I felt like I was moving really, really fast, and I also wanted to focus on the eye look because I didn't know what I was gonna do. I also filled in my hairline. Don't mind that, I need a retouch. Okay, so social media and consumerism. I found this study on the National Library of Medicine, which I didn't expect a social media study to be on there, but I guess because it's like psychology. Obviously, it'll be credited and linked below. I didn't have time to, like the other study, rigorously search through it. So these are the parts that I just cherry-picked to back up my argument. So this is a direct quote from the beginning of the page. Study contributes to the emerging literature on the negative effects of overconsumption that every social media user may develop as a consequence of being engaged on social media platforms. The authors tested materialism's direct and indirect impacts on compulsive, conspicuous and impulsive buying, adding two novel mediators: attitudes towards social media content, CSM, and social media intensity, SMI. Did I say CSM? SCM. I can read. Now, I did find it extremely interesting that they mentioned consumerism as a personality trait, because I feel like I'm using the Sultry palette by Anastasia, by the way. I feel like a lot of people try and deny that consumerism is a personality trait or say that it's mean. But it's fact. I mean, yes, it can sound a little bitchy, but it is fact. I know because I used to be that girly, and that was my personality. Now, another quote. Firstly, the authors adopted the notion that sees materialism as a personality trait, and therefore the construct is treated as an antecedent antecedent of attitudes and social media intensity, SMI, differently by what has been stated by the traditional literature, which sees materialism as a consequence of prolonged exposure to advertisement messages. Personality trait. Now, like I said before, I feel like the trap of the consumer's personality was a landslide that I have slid into several times before as a desperate attempt to fit in. Do you see the correlation here? Because if you don't have a personality, you are going to make that up with appearing cool. This is a little bit of a self-call out. They reference ad customation a little bit farther down in the article. And yes, I obviously do agree with that, but I feel like TikTok adds a whole other sphere of that. Influencers and wannabe influencers, which sounds really mean, I do apologize, but I mean that in the most literal sense. I don't mean that as a dig. Really have, in layman's terms, up people's heads. And I say this as a beauty influencer. Your For You page is constantly just bombarded by these people shoving products in your face, hoping to get a brand deal, which then would make them money. So I get the idea behind it, but they hype it up, come on screen, acting like your best friend, doing the influencer gasp, and just making it seem a lot more real. Now, I feel like for people my age, I need to get started on my makeup, I keep talking and not doing my makeup. Now, I would hope that people my age and up would, and again, I'm saying this as a beauty influencer that has and will promote product to you because I enjoy it, would take that advertisement and say, I think I want this product. Look into it, think about it a little bit, and then purchase it. Or don't purchase it, depending on, your financial standing, whether you feel as though it would help you or not. Just, a regular shopping experience. Now, children see their favorite influencer and see their peers all promoting the same thing as law, as fact, as biblical words on very thin Bible paper. I remember whenever my childhood YouTubers would promote something, would on my knees beg for that product. Like, I get it. I get it, but that also is, why this all is happening. Kids don't have the let me sit back and contemplate this mindset. They have the oh my god, I need this right now mindset. And especially tying into impulse control, which is notably on the decline. Do you see how everything kind of mashes together? Their impulse control is going to be even worse, so they're going to want it even more right now. Hence why you see them so angry at Sephora over some drunk elephants, because they need it right now. What do you mean you're saying no? They've never been told no. What's no? We want it right now.
I don't know who started the trend about calling out kids in Sephora, but take it back. Take it back right now because you just unleashed the spawns of Satan. Oh my Lantis. I never really had a bad experience with the kids in Sephora. I honestly just let them, run around and do their own things. Because that was once upon a time. Like, I know people in my grade in high school, like freshman year, loved Victoria's Secret. Everyone used to always go there. Or Pink. Everyone wore Victoria's Secret or Pink. And then when we were in middle school, everyone wore Juicy Couture. I don't know what they were fed, but these kids at Sephora, they bite. They bite, bro. I was in the city and I had to kill some time for my order pickup. So I was like, oh, perfect. There's a Sephora right over here. I needed some makeup anyway. So I go in and there's kids everywhere. It's running around like this is the McDonald's playpen. Honestly, I don't care. Do what you want to do. Just don't bother me. So I go over and I'm like in the Dior section because I'm caving in. I wanted to buy some Dior lip oils. So I went over there. Let me tell you, every single lip oil, mangled. They were all either drained or like really messed up. And then look at this lipstick or lip gloss thing that I wanted. The tube was so violated. Like, they, scooped up all the insides of it, and every single lip gloss was like that. I was like, oh my gosh. As I'm looking up here, I find, a little box that's tucked away, and I was like, ooh, what is this? So I pick it up, and I'm like, oh, it's the rose gold lip gloss. And I was like, I found it. And I did the stupid mistake, and I said that out loud. And I didn't realize there was a little, 5-foot something next to me. This little girl starts speaking to me and she's just like, oh my gosh, is that the Dior Rose Gold lip balm? And I was like, yes, it is. And she was like, is there another one? And I was like, unfortunately, no, I don't think so. I think I just managed to find the last one. It was tucked away in the little corner. She starts pouting and she was like, oh, can I have it? And I was like, sorry, I've been actually also looking for this. So, you can always ask the ladies in the front if they have more. And she was like, but I want that. I don't want to ask the ladies in the front. And I was like, oh God, it's them. I've heard stories about you. Then I was like, it's okay. I will be the adult in the situation. So I was like, here, I'll go ask them if they have another one. So I go and I ask her and the lady was like, oh no, we're actually fully sold out. I'm surprised you even found that one. And I was like, oh, so I was like, sorry, they said they don't have any more. Maybe you can try to order it online or something. Ask your parents about it. And she's like, but you have one in your hand. And I was like, I do. And she was like, give it. And I was like, no. So it's in my hand like this, right? She reaches over to grab it and I'm like, don't do that. Cause I'm 5'10" and she's like 5 foot on the dot. I'm like, don't do that. I'm sitting there like this, like, damn, what a good day to be tall, right? As I'm thinking that, this damn little kid hits me with her freaking Stanley cup. He hits me with the damn Stanley cup. Do you know how heavy a Stanley cup is? That's heavy. Got me stuttering it was that heavy. But you know what I'm not gonna do? Back down. Never gonna back down. So I got hit and I'm like, oh. All right then. And she sees that I'm not moving because I kind of just twitched, but I was just like, there's no damn way a little kid just hit me, bro. Because these hands, they're rated E for everyone. I swear, just trust me one more time. Just test me. So she started trying to pinch me, but I was wearing a jacket and she's like, give it to me. And I was like, no. No. Even more so, no. So instead she steps on me and uses the back of her Ugg or something and completely scratches up my leg. Look at my leg. She cut my leg with her shoe. This time I'm pissed because I'm like, okay, you hit me once. Okay, second time I was like, you need to knock it off. So I get down to her and I was like, stop it. You are not getting to stop acting like a spoiled brat. And she was like, she starts literally screaming and crying. And I was like, where's your parents? who you need a leash. Where are your parents? And I'm like, oh my gosh, these parents are definitely an enabler. And as she's screaming and crying, the Sephora employees come in and they're like, what the hell is going on? And I tell them, this little girl just hit me with her freaking Stanley cup and then she stepped on me. And they all literally look so tired, bro. I was like, oh God, this is not the first time you guys heard of this, have you? Trying to calm this little girl down. The whole time she's screaming, but I want that. Like, oh my gosh. You've never been told no before, have you? And then her dad comes up and I'm like thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this dad is gonna give me a headache. He comes over and he starts apologizing profusely to me. And he's like, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry she's acting like this. I don't know why she's acting like this, but I'm really sorry. And I was like, honestly, this is not what I was expecting. I told him, I was like, you know, it's fine, but you need to control your kid. Like, she got lucky, it's me, someone else isn't going to be as nice as me. And then as I'm saying that, she's like, but she still won't give me the lip gloss. So you know what I did? Bought it for myself, because if you think that I'm going to sit here and get kicked and hit with that damn Stanley cup and I'm going to give it to her, you bugging, bro. I didn't even get to try it yet. I guess I'll try it now. I already got used and abused. Girl, this is so mid. I did not need to get stomped on for this, but I come with receipts. This is a little girl. Obviously, I can't show her face because she's mad young, but look how big that Stanley cup is. That hurts getting hit by it. Honestly, she looks like a little Karen. Like, she got a little gray shirt and then a sweater vest and Uggs and Stanley cup. A little Karen, bro. Like, who summoned these kids?
And especially since TikTok's algorithm is so customized, once you like a type of video, they're pummeling you, man. And if you like all of these videos advertising all of this product, it almost hyperinflates how popular the product really is. Like, remember those spicy pickles that everybody was promoting? Don't buy a spicy pickle off of TikTok, by the way. I really hope I shouldn't have to say that, but please don't buy a spicy pickle, any food item, off of TikTok. And it was everywhere. All of my friends were talking about it because it was just shoved everywhere. But if you ask someone that's not always online about the spicy pickle on TikTok shop, they would send you to a psych ward. This article does kind of cover the whole influencer phenomena. Unlike television, social media usage occurs mainly individually and in more private environments. Social networking discussions can be as genuine as people's conversations. Mangled and Frauds, 2009. Yeah, 2009. Therefore, the impact of advertising content on social media is more personal than on television. Fournier and Avery, 2011. With customers always having access to social media through smartphones in different contextual settings of time, place, and even state of mind, messages from brands or users can reach users anytime. Television... I just shucked my brush. Television programming prepares the audience for when they will see ads by showing them between shows, whereas social media advertising messages have various degrees of ad placements impacting the users more profoundly, depending on their emotional state of mind. Joyce and Harwood, 2014. How often have you seen TikToks of, I went scrolling on TikTok shop at 2 a.m. and this is what I bought? I forgot what I bought, but it just showed up because I went buying at 3 a.m. How many hauls have you seen from AliExpress, Temu, Shein? I went shopping at 4 a.m. because I was bored in bed. Best social marketing practices target the individual users directly in an intimate and personal setting and have potentially higher levels of impact, creating materialistic desires resulting in subsequent increase in consumption patterns in the market. Now that's referencing adults, I'm assuming. This is happening also with children. I cannot stress that enough. The Sephora 10-year-olds are the same 10-year-olds that are scrolling social media at 3 a.m. and have TikTok shop open on their phone. This sounds weird, but their minds are more pliable. If that makes sense. It's like the whole slime that they used to be interested in. Even people my age are extremely gullible. My prefrontal cortex is not developed in the slightest, I think. So just keep that in mind. Magnify all these advertising campaign effects because these are kids. Now let me find my brush. I really did chuck that thing. Where the hell is it? I found it. Now, I did see a TikTok that had my eyebrow raise quite a bit, even as a certified child hater. I won't put the TikTok in because I don't want to put this girl on blast. But it was basically this girl... Oh, I should probably list the colors that I was using, right? Pause. I was using Twig, Dystopian, and Noir, and Cyborg on my lid. If I wanted like a really, really like out there silver, I would have put setting spray on it, but I just kind of want a subtle one. But Basically, it was this girl creating this skit on how she would treat one of those, like, spoiled brats if she ran into one. Woo! My contacts did not agree with that shadow placement. But in this skit, she's, like, gets confronted by this quote-unquote kid. It's just her in a filter. And when the kid, you know, starts to act like a brat, snob, the adult character says how she's been waiting weeks for this to happen, and she's like so ready for this moment. Now, as someone who has a script whenever I interact socially, and if anything deviates from the script, I malfunction, I can understand planning weeks for a social interaction. However, when the child then proceeds to hit her, which is not uncommon, I have seen videos mentioning that, she then curses out this supposed kid and then, like, shoves the kid. Please don't fantasize about shoving and cursing out children. And again, I can't say this enough. I don't want to be within 10 miles of children because they irritate me so badly. If there are too many in a store, I will leave because they irritate the shit out of me. However, I realize that is not their fault. They're just kids. And her whole attitude in the video is just, I don't know, just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Maybe I'm being too nitpicky, but it was... I mean, if you see one in the store, I'm not saying bend to their wants and whims. Obviously, you can humble them by just grabbing what you want anyway. They're children, and you're the adult. Actually, I'll put a TikTok in that kind of references the point that I'm trying to make.
I just want you guys to be real for 3 seconds. You guys are telling all these stories about the 10-year-old girls at Sephora, and don't get me wrong, yeah, maybe it's out of hand, and the kids are getting out of hand. I think the adults are forgetting that we're adults now, too, because I think we're facing a little bit of age regression. You realize you can son these kids, right? That these kids can't bully you, these kids can't say shit to you. They got no power. Literally, there's a 10-year-old child in front of you, and you're sitting there, and you're coming and telling the damn internet. I would have told that kid straight the hell up. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Who are you talking? A stranger? You talking to a stranger? Go to your mother. That's how I talk to kids when I see them in public. And yeah, maybe you're scared their mother is going to confront you. I say straight to their mother too. Why are you letting your kid go around talking to strangers trying to fight with adults? Get your child. And the funny thing is the fact that you guys are doing all these stories while doing a 50-step routine, showing all the products, targeting these little kids again, because they're going to get these. You're literally talking about the kids. You think they're not going to come on a For You page for their... Come on. Be real.
But yeah, if they, like, hit you or anything, that's what security is for. Like, that's the entire point as to why they're there. Like, if you want to scare them, a big burly security guard is the perfect way. Yeah, don't go, like, foaming at the mouth fantasizing about beating up these kids. Like, I get it, they're annoying, but it's a little weird. Okay, we're doing the streaming setup for this. Let me do my... No, I'm gonna do the mascara first. I'm gonna try and block out this kid's face because it's a kid. But here's an example of one of the kids in Sephora. Let me put on my headphones so that you don't get double audio. Okay, so this is a Sephora girl.
Part 2 of Sephora Kid Gone Wild.
Summer 5 is grade 5. They have no more. I asked the worker if they have anything similar, and a nice shimmery lip gloss that is clear. And then she said yes, something for 22.
Man.
She said no. Please, I pinky promise I'll pay you back.
What?
This will mean,
What?
this will mean a lot to me. No, bro, you're not gonna...
I mean, at least she's asking instead of demanding. I've seen stories. But again, even if we look at the comments here, let's see the comments. She sounded polite and sweet, just a kid who wants shimmery lip gloss like we wanted when we were kids. Why y'all hating? I feel like it's just an accumulation of hatred from all of the other stories being lashed out onto this kid, because you're right, she does sound really sweet. Is anyone worried about the baby that just ran into Sephora alone? Wait, what? Oh, what happened to Claire's? They got a lip gloss at Claire's. Good job, Mom, for saying no. The baby just ran into Sephora. What does a kid need with a lip plumper? That is on the parents. I do not blame the kid for wanting a lip plumper. Because I know with my teeny tiny paper cut lips, I was all over the Kylie Lip Jenner challenge, or Kylie Jenner lip challenge. I feel like the want for products themselves, I can't do this while doing lipstick. The want for products themselves shouldn't be really blamed on the kids. Of course, kids are gonna want things that are cool. I feel like it's more their attitude than anything. And also, it's the parents' responsibility to look into this stuff. They're kids. Why did you have a kid if you're not gonna look after it? What the fuck? It's not everyone's responsibility to take care of your kid. There is no village anymore. The village died and burned a long time ago. You have to look after your own kid. I feel like it's just mostly the accumulation of hatred around the attitude of a lot of these Sephora girls that is really grinding people's gears. This will mean a lot to me. That was really cute. I'll pay you back with what finance? But here's a person's personal account of a Sephora girl.
I saw a video on my For You page talking about how Sephora has become the new Claire's. Like, every single time you walk in, all you see is 10 to 13-year-olds wrestling each other over drunk elephants. And while I haven't lived in the States for a while, I visited—
I'm sorry, but is that Kenji just dead in the background? Oh wait, no, that's from the movie. Okay, sorry, I got sidetracked.
visited a couple months ago, and oh boy, do I have a story for you. So right now I live in South Korea, but as many of you guys know, we don't have a lot of Sephoras here. Most people here go to a drugstore called Olive Young, and while Olive Young has a lot of different—
I've heard of Olive Young
stuff, they don't exactly have darker shades, and they don't have any kind of American product. I'm not really somebody who's very good at makeup, but I used to watch a lot of beauty YouTubers back in the day. I visited the States back in February, and as you can tell, I am a pretty pale person. Especially during the wintertime, I don't really tend to go outside, so my skin is just very ghostly and kind of sickly looking. So I really wanted to get some products that kind of livened up my face. And as many of you guys know, the Drunk Elephant bronze drops were going really viral on TikTok a couple of months ago. And I thought that might be helpful, as well as some more like glowy, bronzy products that they don't really have in Korea. And granted, at this time, I did not know that the Drunk Elephant trend was for 10 to 13-year-olds. Like, I thought all these products and ingredients were for like adults, or like people my age. So I go into the Sephora, I ask the employee where all the Drunk Elephant stuff is. She directs me to the correct aisle, and then I walk over. When I walk over to that specific section, I see a group of 10 to 11 10-year-olds in the aisle. I go like, excuse me, can I maybe get into the aisle? And then, I kid you not, all of these 10-year-olds in sync literally turn to me, and then they literally refuse to move. Like, I'm an inconvenience to them. And me and these girls
I'd get so mad.
Weird standoff for like 30 to 40 seconds until I'm literally like, fuck this shit, and I walk straight through the group with them. I'm not—
That I don't mind. That I don't mind. There's a difference between just like walking through someone and like pushing them, you know? Like, I don't feel like walking through a group of kids is bad at all. Like, if they won't move yourself, and if they're in the way, then they will move. Is that bad? I don't know.
I'm not gonna say body checking all of these 10-year-olds, but I'm like, if you guys are so rude that you don't want to like get out of the way for somebody who wants to just simply go look at a product, you kind of deserve to get a little bit, you know what I mean? So after I walk through the group of girls and I'm just like looking at the product,
I'm gonna get my lashes real quick. I'll be right back. This is the Faces Cosmetics lash glue, by the way. Back to the video.
I hear one of the little girls mutter under her breath, I understand why you're so desperate to get those. I hope my face doesn't look like yours when I'm your age. I'm 20. I'm 20 years old,
She's
guys.
younger than me.
Despite all of these tattoos, I am 20 years old. And getting told that somebody doesn't want to look like me in the future is like, what the actual fuck? iPad kids are truly the most terrifying thing about the future, and I hope that they just get outside and touch some grass some days, because this shit ain't cool.
Oh my god. Also, this girl looks like she has some crazy stories. Accidentally rejecting a male K-pop idol. Storytime, my friend was a K-pop idol stalker. Oh my god. I didn't know what Drunk Elephant was until late 2023. Okay, I knew what Drunk Elephant was. I also knew that it just wasn't the best, and it's also insanely expensive. I was in Sephora trying to get my Drunk Elephant moisturizer when there was a bunch of kids in the aisle. They ignored me when I asked them to move, so... Okay, I can't see the reply, but it seems like this is a common occurrence. They just won't move if you ask them to move. Am I the only one who thinks Drunk Elephant is ridiculously overpriced and terrible for your skin? No, I'm sure it's not terrible for your skin, but it's also not the best, you know? These are the dollar store lashes, by the way. I forget what style they're in. I got so many angry comments telling me to keep on gatekeeping these lash. Again, comments like when I was 10 I was playing with LP. I miss Littlest Pet Shop so badly. Sorry, I may not have major mascara face, but I have a major lash face. I mean, Drunk Elephant is for adults. It has active ingredients are extremely bad for young kids. Their skin is not meant for that. It's not built differently. I babysat 2 girls, 8 and 10. They wanted me to take them to Sephora. We walked past Claire's. Damn. I mean, I feel like, again, kids are always gonna want to grow up super early. Like, Sephora in and of itself, I'm not surprised is popular among the younger generation. Again, I just feel like it's more so the behavior that people should be having an issue with. Like, these kids are not being raised right. Like, they are awful. I only go to Sephora for lip balms and Sol de Janeiro. Even Sol de Janeiro, like, I've heard it smells good, but, like, that's so expensive. Sephora is filled with 10-year-olds now and is literally, like, walking into a Claire's.
I tell you that people are not exaggerating when they talk about the children in Sephora right now, and it's not even just little girls, you know that? My friend and I went to Sephora like 2 days ago. We went in because we were doing like lunch and shopping. She was like, oh, I need more of my eye cream. Mind you, we're 30. We're 30 going into Sephora to get an eye cream. It's like we're walking into a Claire's. We were the oldest people in the store by about 20 years. We're 30, and we're the oldest people in the store by about 20 years. There was a group, like a good-sized group of middle school boys, more than just a few. I'm guessing they were between the ages of 10 and 12, and they were all in the back of the store testing out the colognes, like spraying cologne everywhere. When I was that age, the boys were using Axe body spray. And I'm sure the cologne they were testing smelled a lot better than the Axe. I smelled it because they were spraying it everywhere. It did smell a lot better than the Axe body spray, but I was like, are you buying a $200 cologne with your middle school boy money? Where are you getting this money? How are you doing that? Like, what? What's going on? No, trust me, I'm not saying it's a bad thing for middle school boys to want to smell good, but I was just shocked that they were in the Sephora. When did this happen? We got in line so my friend can pay for her eye cream. You know, we're 30 buying eye cream. And this group of middle school girls just like blows by us. Don't even respond to them like, hi, welcome to, so just straight to the Sol de Janeiro, not listening to anybody. Within seconds of them being in that section, every single one of them is like tearing into a bottle of something. I'm hoping they were the actual testers. I'm also hoping none of them walked out of that store with the cream.
Again, the attitude. Those poor employees.
That supposedly attracts wolf spiders, but whatever. But they did take up that entire section.
What?
Like, you could not get back through that way. There was also definitely a 10-year-old girl and her mom over in the drunk elephant section, and I wasn't eavesdropping or anything, but, like, I can only imagine what kind of conversation they were having. On the way out of the store, I was talking about how, like, I did theater and competitive dance and ballet growing up. We got that makeup from, like, Sally Beauty Supply. Not from, like, the department store or Sephora or anything like that. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I wasn't interested in makeup as a 10-year-old girl, because I definitely was, but I think that's the thing, is that as a 10-year-old girl, I was interested in makeup, not skincare. They're there for the skincare. And we all definitely make cringy decisions on that front when we're in middle school, but the
I just had a genius talking point, and I'm gonna say it before I forget. I feel like also because social media wasn't as big of a thing when, you know, she's 30, so she's a little bit older than me, but like social media and all that wasn't as big when we were growing up, so there wasn't a big focus around the brands of the hobbies. It was just the hobbies. Like when I was obviously I'm super into makeup, but when I was super into makeup as a kid, I wasn't really focused on the big brands until like beauty YouTubers. Does that make sense? Like I feel like when we were growing up, there was no desire to perform status wise. Like it was just a desire to perform. Does that make sense? My damn nose piercing.
But the thing is when it's a cringy decision on your makeup, like, I get to look back at middle school pictures of me and being like, who let me wear hot pink lipstick out the door? Would never do that again. You know, the black eyeliner and the waterline. When they're making cringy decisions about their skincare, that's like getting rid of their moisture barrier and giving them chemical burns. It's so much more serious. But yeah, we need to bring back justice. We need to put Claire's back on the map. You know, everybody likes to make fun of the Dear Hannah prep. Oh my god, it's so preppy in here. But that does actually seem more like a space for tween girls. We need something for them. Sephora ain't it. Like, Sephora is just not it.
I feel like a lot of people don't realize that when you post making fun about a lot of things, sure, a lot of people your age may see that, but a lot of kids see that too. So they're seeing the stuff that they should like be ridiculed, and then they're like, oh my god, no, this isn't cool, and so they don't want to partake in it. And then people start screaming, why aren't the kids doing this? It's because they saw you making fun of them. Like, again, are the points I'm making sense? Again, Justice, Five Below, Off-Brand, CVS. Yeah, what about the wolf spiders? Nothing confirmed, but there was anecdotal evidence that purple scent attracts bugs. And then people started writing fake reviews in response. Okay. You're 30? First time I went into Sephora, I was 17 years old. I ate a grapefruit and Neutrogena. I mean, I'm glad they're not using that at least. A lot of the same themed comments. But here's the finished makeup look. It is officially done. Let me switch to my screen. Hold on. Officially done. Sorry, meow hung. Just realized my mirror's in the corner. I'm so sorry about that. But I figured this video was kind of ranty, kind of meh, not positive. So I feel like we would end it on a slightly more wholesome note.
I wasn't gonna make another video talking about like the little girls that are coming into Sephora, but today there was a little black girl with her dad that came in, and her dad was like, hey, she really wants skincare. Can you please tell me what products would be good for her? And again, like, this girl was probably like, I don't know, 7, maybe 6 or 7. Like, she was so small.
7.
And like, she like still had like the baby fat in her face, and she was like so cute. And I was like, oh, well. Oh, and then the mom, I don't know if the parents are together, but the mom, like, had sent the dad over with, like, things that she might want. So, like, for example, one of them was, like, the Littles, like, Drunk Elephant pack.
I can see how that could be easily mistaken. I feel like Drunk Elephant, it looks super colorful, like it should be marketed to kids, but it's also the parents' responsibility to look into the brands. But something marketed as the Littles kit, I can see how it's easily misconstrued as like, oh, this is for kids. No, it's just because they're small.
Package, and like the mom, I'm pretty sure the mom thought the Littles was like for kids. Like, it was for kids because it's marketed for kids, but it's like, I'm like, no, like, they're just mini products, they're not for kids. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, they have like a lot of like chemicals in them that you probably don't want to be putting on your face.
Sorry to pause again. I feel like also a lot of parents now aren't like, yes, my generation is having kids, but a lot of parents still aren't really up to date with skincare. If you say that there's an active in skincare that can damage their child's skin, all they're gonna hear is there's something that can damage my child's skin. They're not gonna know what the active is, like unless they're into skincare, you know? Like a lot of people, I feel like we have to realize a lot of people aren't as chronically online, especially because they're working so much just to survive, which is the reason why they're not really able to look after their kids. And so they'll think something is nice and they want to please their kids, so they go, here's my credit card, without looking into what is happening and a lot of things they just, again, may not know about.
And like, I'm trying to tell this like in the nicest way while the little girl, she's staring at me, and she, like, every time she'd pick up something, she's like, can I use this? And I'm like looking at her dad, and her dad's like, does it have chemicals? And I'm like, yes. And then she gets sad, and I'm like, I'm trying to like encourage the little girl.
She means like, actives, by the way.
You don't want to be putting like
before
these
people
harsh chemicals on
word
your
police
face when you don't need them, sweetheart. And it just like made me so sad. And she was like, and then her dad was like, yeah, you don't want to do that. And she's like, well, I didn't know. And I was like, I know you don't know. And I was like, maybe like in like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. I don't know how old she was. I'm hoping like she's literally 10 and then she'll be 16.
This poor kid. And I know, I remember being a kid, and whenever I would hear maybe in a few years, that would shatter my little heart. That is like the worst thing to hear as a kid. But it's true. Like their skin can't handle it.
And experiencing acne. But she could have been like 6, and then it's still problematic in 5 years because she'd be 11. But I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, she really wanted Glow Recipe. She really wanted
Oh, Glow Recipe is another one.
And I feel like, and then she was like, she said, well, if I can't use them, why are little girls my age using them and doing their get ready with me videos? And I'm like, you're not the problem. It's like, Society is the problem. I don't know what to tell you, little girl.
I agree, society. No, but that's the thing, like, they see all their friends doing it, and then it's like, why can't I do it? And then they fight so hard, and then the parents are like, oh, just shut up, here. It's all a cycle. That's gonna be it for today. I don't want to add in too many TikToks because I don't want to just like steal other people's content for my own content. Let me switch back to my big screen. Why do I look so desaturated? I look like I'm dying. That's gonna be it for this video. I hope everything kind of made sense. I didn't want to focus on the children being bad and drunk elephant. I wanted to focus on why the children are being bad and why they're so drawn to trends and why they're being so aggressive. Does that make sense? Like, not the what, but the why. Can you tell this part is unscripted? I haven't thought any of these words that are coming out of my mouth through. Mika's channel, James's video and channel, links to the studies and the TikToks and everything will be in the description, including my social media. Like, comment, subscribe, let me know your thoughts. I'm almost out of water. Can you tell? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if I should do more videos like this. This is interesting. It was fun. I have never done a video like this before, and it was a new concept. I hope I articulated well. Bye!